I would like to give you a brief overview what you can expect within the next 20 minutes. I will talk a little bit about trends that we foresee in the urban mobility and a little bit about our answers from DriveNow. And starting with it, we see at the moment global mobility is changing, and I just highlighted a few megatrends like urbanization, globalization, laws and regulations, but in general we see two main streams. We have on the one hand side changing environment, as I said, urbanization, globalization. On the other hand, we have change in people's mind shift, post-materialism, individualism, and I will highlight a few things here. First one, we see global cities are growing, and often the bigger, the faster. And that means a lot of more cars in the cities, more congestion. For example, look at China and their pollution problems, more parking pressure. And cities are trying to react to that. And how do they react? They try to enforce their laws and regulations. They try to free up more space in the cities, like with pedestrian zones. They try to increase metered parking and controlled parking zones. And they often try to find more green space, which means that there is less space, of course, for cars. And as I said, on the other hand, we have a shift in mindset of the people, often called post-materialism. We see especially Generation Y changing their habits and their status symbols. The car is decreasing, mobile phones are increasing as a status symbol, and that gives, of course, the possibility for a lot of new business models. Location-based services, intelligent parking solutions, and of course car sharing. And you can ask, okay, car sharing, is that a thing which might be relevant if you look at the figures? We saw from 2008 to 2011 a double-digit increase in user numbers. But from 2011 onwards, when free-floating car sharing kicked in, these growth rates more than doubled. And independent studies like Frost and Sullivan from 2014, they estimate that until 2020, there will be 15 million car-sharing users in Europe, a huge number. And this, of course, gives business potential. And this is why in 2011, BMW and Sixt agreed to found a company called DriveNow. Now you can question why these two companies. Well, BMW brings great cars on the streets, premium products and services for individual mobility. And on the other hand, you have Sixt as a leading provider in the car rental business, having all that fleet management know-how in place, which is necessary to operate something like DriveNow. Just at a glance, what is DriveNow about? We have a very convenient concept. It's really urban mobility in the sense of the word. We try to estimate demand and try to cover this demand by our business areas. We have no fixed rental stations. You can simply pick up the car wherever you find one, and you can drop off wherever you want to. So in many cases, our concept is even more flexible than your own car. On the other hand, we have a state-of-the-art pricing model. We have a payment by the minute. You only pay what you use. We have no fixed fees, whether annual fees or monthly fees. And so it's complete risk-free for you. You use it, you pay. You don't use it, you don't pay. So at a glance, we try to find answers for all the megatrends and give them an individual DriveNow solution to it. So it's not only that we focus on the external developments, like we try to find solutions for the cities, to help them become smarter, help them to become cleaner. But we also try to find a solution which addresses all the individual problems, attracting new customer groups, offer a solution for individual mobility. And to give you some more insights, I want to highlight a few of our solutions, what we think is good for future mobility. As I said, cities have a parking problem, they have a space problem, and so we ask our users, have you abolished your cars in recent years? And amazing 37% said yes. And we asked, what was the reason? And the reason was because, on the one hand, with free floating car sharing, we now have the opportunity to have a car at my fingertips, to use it as flexible as my own car. And almost as important, together with free floating car sharing and public transport, most of my mobility needs are covered. So I now do not have more a need for an individual car. And then, that is, of course, astonishing numbers, but then we said, okay, but we have another 64% left, which did not abolish their car. And so we asked, would you abolish your car? Or why haven't you abolished your car? And at first, I would like to guide your attention to the last line over there, because only 20% say, under no circumstances I will abolish my car. Only 20%. Absolutely amazing. And so we asked the rest, what would be a basis that you would be willing to abolish your car? And it often comes to chances. It comes to if my place or my resident would be better served by other mobility options. If car sharing would cover my personal situation, then I would be willing to abolish my car. Great opportunities. And talking about freeing up space, there are independent studies which say that one car-sharing car reduces the private demand for cars by 9 to 13 cars. And these are often high-emission vehicles. We substituted through low-emission BMW and mini vehicles. So that frees up space. And on the other hand, our vehicles are often highly utilized. A personal car, and you might know that from your personal experience, you use it maximum 1 hour a day. Our vehicles drive 3 to 5 hours a day, so 3 to 5 times more utilization on these cars. And these both effects, reducing the number of cars and increasing utilization, doubles the effect of freeing up space in the city. And talking about the emission problem, that this effect can also be increased by electromobility. At the moment, we operate 60 cars, 60 active E's in Germany, 40 in Berlin, 20 in Munich, and we operate 30 brand new i3 in London. As you might know, the German government has the goal to bring until 2020 1 million cars on German streets. At the moment, if I have the figures correct, I think we have 20,000 electric vehicles on the streets, and we are so at the forefront of electric vehicles. Over 60,000 people have used our cars now, generating 160,000 drives within the last 2 years. Amazing figures, especially if you realize that one of the major hurdles for people today is that they say, I haven't experienced electromobility up to date. I have no idea what it's like, what it's driving like, do I have problems with the range, and so on. And next, now I talked a little bit about all the outer changes of our environment. Let's talk about the mindset of people. The thing is, Our system gives the chance to take advantage of different cars. At the moment, we have 9 different models in our fleet. I don't know if any one of you has 9 different cars in his garage. Probably not. And this gives you a lot of possibility for different use cases. For example, if you want to go out in the evening, meet with friends, go to a very popular area, it's often very crowded, often very difficult to find parking space. So it's good to take a small car, like a Mini Cooper. On the other hand, if you want to go to the airport, having 3 or 4 bags with you or your family, then you need a much bigger car, taking an X1. Or if you want to go on Saturday or Sunday to a lake nearby, maybe it's convenient to take a convertible, like a Mini convertible, or a BMW 1 Series convertible. Or if you need a lot of space going to IKEA buying new furniture, then maybe the Mini Countryman, or again the X1 is the car of your choice. And of course, if you would like to experience electromobility, we have the Active E and the i3 in the fleet. So you can ask now, nice, but is it relevant? Do people need this? And if you look at the development in the last years, it's really astonishing how car sharing developed. Even from 1997 to 2011, you see double-digit growth numbers. But as I said, when free-floating car sharing kicked in 2011, then the development really took off. This is only Germany. We have now over 1 million car sharing users in Germany. And the market share of free-floating car sharing is over 63%. Great achievement. And we are at DriveNow very proud that we are one of the drivers here. Within the free-floating market, we own 36% of the market, and we expect to grow further. So the development is relevant, it is important, and it gives great opportunities as well to cities as to people. And to give you a little bit more impression what we think DriveNow is like and how you can use it and what's the mindset behind this, I have a little film. Oh, forgot the last slide, sorry. So this is DriveNow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it's your chance to ask questions, to get further information you would like to. We've got hosts here with a microphone. There's someone. You wanted to? No? Okay. But in the background there are two people. Yes, I can see them.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question for you about the topic of cannibalization. You said 37% of customers who use DriveNow had sold a car, and that only 20% of overall car sharing users, if I understood correctly, were in favor of keeping their car at all costs. How you are part of a company that sells cars primarily, and please describe a little bit the dynamic that you're riding a wave of change and the rest of the company depends on that change maybe not happening to the same pace. How does that work?
Interesting question, because it arises very often, and in the beginning in 2011 when I started with DriveNow and I presented the concept to BMW colleagues, I often got the feedback, how crazy are you? You're corrupting our business. I think at the end of the day, it's not like that, because when we look at our customer groups, we are completely addressing new customer groups which cannot be covered at the moment by BMW. The typical BMW buyer is around 50 years old, often buying a 3 Series or a 5 Series, not necessarily coming from the inner city core, because people there anyway try to get rid of their cars because they have no parking space available. And our typical customers is 32 years old, highly socially interconnected. So at first it's a different customer group. Secondly, our concept is very much focused on urban mobility. We do not say that in 15, 20 years' time, no one will own a private car. This is not the case. There will still be a huge market to be covered. But we focus on urban mobility, and urban mobility, as I told you, is changing, and so we are addressing exactly the needs of the people here. And that does not conflict with the targets of the BMW group. And what we see now after 4 years of operations is that first people that came to us in 2011 now move on in their life situation. They're leaving the city, maybe moving to the suburbs. So then they have need for a known car. And then they often tend to buy a BMW. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation for us both.
There was another question behind you, I think. No? Okay. Other questions from you there?
I think the car sharing pretty soon will die, actually, because once the self-driving cars are out on the loose, there's no need to share any car because you simply order it by your app. Obviously, you have a different opinion about that, but why?
Sorry, can you just repeat the question?
I guess once self-driving cars are out, you won't need to share any cars because you simply order your self-driving car via your app. Actually, it's Uber without the driver.
Interesting, but I would argue the other way around. Because the thing is, with Uber, at Uber, the possession of the cars lies with the driver. So Uber does not possess any cars. They don't have capacity for fleet management. So the thing is, you're absolutely right. If self-driving cars come to market, then that will be another game changer, of course. But why not integrate self-driving cars into DriveNow? It's just getting rid of the driver, but knowing where demand is based, knowing where demand arises within the city is, at the end of the day, the important question, and not so much you have an Uber driver or you have a DriveNow car. So I think, of course, this will be a game changer, but I think there are opportunities for DriveNow to use self-driving cars in the system.
Okay. And another question, do you have baby seats in your car?
Yeah, that's really one of the most difficult problems with car sharing, because I just got father, I have a 9-month-old son, and what you quickly realize is how many different baby seats you need. And the problem is you cannot have 3 or 4 baby seats in a car like a Mini Countryman, because if then someone is coming to take the car and want to go to IKEA, he says, what the hell are with all these baby seats? So really this is one of the most important problems. We have some little seats in the BMW 1 Series, just to make it a little bit more convenient for small families, but really, this is a problem, and we're working on it.
Any last short answered question? Yes?
Well, this is on. I got one last question, because you said you're going to provide the areas with different kind of models, car models, in order to use them for different occasions. How are you going to make sure that service is provided in any area?
Within the 1 minute we saw in the
yeah,
clip.
Exactly.
Yeah, would be perfect, but...
Exactly. I've been using Car2Go a couple of times, just so you know. And it's like, you know what you get, just like going to McDonald's, you know what you're getting. And how is that supposed to work with DriveNow?
Just by the pure number of cars. We have a rough estimate that you need per square kilometer 4 to 5 cars to serve people's need. Of course, it is not always possible to have an X1 exactly in front of your door, but especially for events like going to IKEA, you plan a little bit in advance, so it is possible for you to look after an X1. But really, by having a huge number of cars in the city, it is very, very realistic that you find the car you need within 500 meters distance time or walking time.
Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you, Sebastian, for this very interesting topics you told us about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claudia.